Well, baby, you've been on my mind. I think about you all the time. Oh, I wanna see your face. That don't make me wait. And even when I go to sleep.
Oof.
That guitar looks good with that gold.
I don't need no doctor. I don't know what ails me. I don't need no doctor. Oh, wait, it's the.
Am I wrong? I actually don't remember the rest of the words. Now, how do I run away with you two? How do I run away on the road with you two?
Oh, so easy. We just start paying you to be our camera guy.
Literally, you just drive. No. You're awesome at this.
Cool.
I
all
appreciate that.
all the videos look great too.
Yeah.
And like the moving shots were awesome. That's what I was telling Sarah.
You won't have any of those today,
That's okay.
but
Did we all just hear Dan sing a minute ago?
No, Dan
Do you do you have a band and stuff too?
no.
No,
that-
Dan
that's-
can.
I was hoping to talk to you more because the things that you were saying, I was like, that sounds a lot like me, and I feel like I'm wasting a lot of my talent, but I don't know what to do.
No, you ain't fucking leaving anywhere. I just got a damn deal done finally.
Come on.
Yo, I can multitask. I don't have to sleep just like her. She's getting it done. Hey, I got plenty of
I'm gonna
time.
let you know, Sarah's a phenom when it comes to that kind of shit.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable
It
the
was
things that
pretty
she is capable of on lack of sleep. And
Pull.
can I pull it?
We're not going to keep drinking. This is expensive.
No, please.
You sure?
I'm absolutely positive.
I owe you a
I was
bottle.
no. I wanted to
All
share.
right, so we'll just have brand new show. Let's just go with it. We can even say part. I don't give a shit. I mean, I care. That sounded rude. I don't give a shit.
You don't give a shit.
Dan.
Why would you-
I'm fine. I'm fine.
You don't need
Thank
ice?
you. Yeah, no.
Okay.
Usually I
Dan,
drink it
you need
straight
it?
up.
Okay. Dan.
I'm gonna leave it alone.
Okay. Yeah, I've been noticing you've been drinking.
Dan gets a little
I've had
gets
2
little
ounces.
extra pushy with the buttons over there.
Yeah, leaves
After-
leaves the refrigerator open.
Refrigerator open, shows up late.
Right.
Sarah, I mean, you're gonna be like camo with that.
I know.
I know. I thought about that.
All right, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Wait. What are you counting down for?
Just to give us an in.
What? Okay, why do we got to count?
I
Why can't you just
I like
go
your
in?
shirt. So you finally came to the dark side. I see. Is that A&M or is that OU?
Texas State.
Texas State. Okay, I like.
Play all the fields.
Texas State.
So welcome to another podcast, brother.
Welcome back.
It's good to be here, man. Big things, man. I've talked about it on the past podcast, but man, I think we got some big news coming up that I can't announce, but one of the partnerships that I can is a local hotel here, man.
Yeah.
And it is, do you know the name of the local hotel?
The local hotel. You know, I stayed there. My dad stayed there when he came into town a couple weeks ago.
Okay. Great hotel.
It's the AC Hotel,
Mm-hmm.
Austin, South Austin, Hill Country.
There you go. Yes.
AC.
Yes.
It's right up there in the Lantana area, right next to the movie house and eatery, and Carve.
Great
is
restaurant.
up there,
Great
which is
restaurant.
so good.
Yes.
It's got a bar, an
Amazing.
outdoor bar.
It's called the Violet Sky, who is
Violet
also
It's
is
up like on
partnering
the
with us.
5th floor.
Fifth floor.
It's outside. It overlooks the Hill Country. It's really, really a cool
That's
place.
right. And one of
So-
our prior guests and one of our guests that we have today will definitely be staying there and trying it out and letting us know how exactly everything is. So no, it is. So we are partnering with a local hotel here. So some big things happening. I'm so grateful for you and Handsome Dan, all the work you've done. Some of the past episodes I've been watching, and I just want to give a highlight real quick. One that we just launched with Chrissy out of the yoga. Your footage and the way you cut in his whole thing, and I'm gonna make all you guys watch it. But the way you cut in with the film and that was pretty.
Tell
good.
me about it. What happened?
Did you see the promo reel for it?
No, not the promo reel. I'm
you're
talking about
talking
the
about
actual
something
podcast
Oh, what
where
did I do? I don't even remember.
Man, am I the only one that watches the podcast?
No, I watch it.
I've watched them.
Yeah, Dad. And then there's a clip.
Ah,
and then,
Sanka.
Sanka.
Yes. I
Sanka.
put that in.
You
I
did?
forgot I put that in. Yeah.
So
Was that before he got there?
No. You said it to me. You were
Oh.
trying to explain it. I put in footage of Sanka. crashing. I put in Sanka.
I didn't see that part.
and
I haven't watched that
I
episode
love
yet.
that nobody watches it, but hopefully you guys are watching it. But at the very beginning, Dan
So
does this
but
thing.
you had never seen Cool Runnings
I'd
before.
never seen it, and I wanted
So
to
did you
make
watch
sure
it?
everybody. No, I didn't.
And
I
he
haven't
told,
watched it.
hold on, you totally redeemed yourself. So the beginning of the episode, it goes, well, and it's Mark Broussard singing. Then it's just him close up.
I saw
camera
that, yeah.
going, I'm so late. I'm so late. So kudos to you, my man. So no, but I just want to say thank you to the viewers. Again, like, subscribe, whatever they do. Dan, is there something else they could be doing to watch and give us more viewership?
Share.
I was gonna say just like, subscribe, and share. Sharing is definitely sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring.
Yes.
So we're keeping our Louisiana theme. Again, I will go ahead and say it. Everybody gives me a hard time for saying friends all the time, or I know somebody. But this next guest on the episode is also a friend that I met through another friend, Sarah Russo, who was on the podcast.
You know,
and
I
might be
think-
making an appearance on this one.
The thing is that I think what it's starting to look like is that you can only get your friends to come on the podcast.
It's a cult.
That's
At least you have friends.
I got pretty good friends.
You
would
got a lot
say?
of good friends. I'm
Yeah.
not saying I don't like your friends. Your friends are fine.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that could be one perspective.
Yeah. Or remember, I'm not an and or guy. I think that we are blessed as sleeping around the podcast to have so many amazing people want to be on
Yes,
the podcast.
I agree with that too.
But without further ado, we have another amazing musician, and we've watched him play on the episode with Sarah Russo. And I always say your name, and I'm going to say it wrong on purpose because I say Dustin Gaspard. But you're saying it's Dustin
Gaspard.
Gaspard.
Gusto.
Gaspard. It's almost Italian the way
You
I
say
said
it in
it.
the throat.
In the throat.
In the throat.
Throat.
Three times you got it down. So a fellow Louisianian, amazing musician. I've watched him perform 2 times with Sarah Russo and their duet, and then obviously for the podcast. So they're on a tour of Texas right now, and so thank you for making time to stop by the podcast.
It's
brother.
my pleasure, man. Thank you so much. This is such a cool thing that y'all are doing here, and it looks great, feels great, and there's just great people.
Hey, I love it.
Well, I met you officially at the Ruins, correct?
Yeah.
And I went there to beg Sarah to be on the podcast. I brought our merch, I brought a shirt, and man, I was blown away. You are one talented dude.
Thanks.
And I think this is kind of perfect timing because by the time you're on the podcast and release it, you have some new music coming out. Is that correct?
Yeah. I just released a record, and we did a big album release show for it. The record came out officially in March and was released to the world physically for the album release show, which was 2 weeks ago today.
And man, I saw the turnout and
Yeah, sold out show. That was 300 people. You could hear a pin drop, and then it was like the roar of thunder when they were. And then they cried a lot, which is, perfect because of my sad boy music.
well, it almost sounds like a perfect night for me with a woman.
Yeah,
typical silence, a lot of laughter, and then
A bit of crying.
a bit of crying. Doorbell?
Should we get it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Sure, go ahead. So
What's happening?
one of our guests, the doorbell just went off.
it didn't pick up. I didn't hear it.
Oh, it didn't? Well, I was going to say
That's good
that
news.
I
So we
was-
just pretend like it never happened.
Or I was
Well,
going to
not
say
now.
that sound goes off every time Matt makes a corny joke. So it's like,
I like
okay.
it. I like it.
But Dustin, no, thank you so much. So this is probably a labor of love. I think anytime that you put effort into an album, it couldn't have just been 3 months. So
Yeah. The record itself, I'd never, ever imagined me doing an album, especially this day and age in music. You kind of see what works and you see what fits, and then you market and scale,
Right.
whether that be something that you want to do or not. Because, you're trying to make a living off of this. You
right.
got to figure that stuff out. But the record itself, it was a labor of love. The entire thing's dedicated to my grandparents who had decades invested in me and raising me. And they're a whole lot of the reason that I am who I am.
Well, let's jump in, man. I think you said you've watched the podcast, so you kind of know where I go with kind of the theme, but I'll kind of just lay it out. What I'd like to get to know and have our audience get to know is kind of how you grew up, where you grew up, how those musical influences got you to where you are today. And man, just see how that grind's been for you. You know, every time I've been around you, one of the things that I always feel attracted to in people is positivity and fun. And man, every time I've been around you, whether you remember or not, we have fun.
Well, yeah, well, that's where it all starts. Is that was something that my grandfather was about. His household was about, my whole family. And I mean, that's Louisiana in general, you know. But my family really turns that up to 11. And the community that they offer and the relationships that they offer, those are all things that they were influencing in me continually.
Let's dive into that. So where is this community and where is it located? And
I'm from Southern Vermilion Parish, which is the largest parish in the state. A lot of it is farmland, crawfish ponds, rice fields, cane fields. And it's on the coast. We don't have beautiful beaches like the rest of the country does. It's marshy marsh mud. And I'm from a community in that area called Cow Island. There's a few different islands per se, and it was the old Cajun people and old settlers that went out there. An island is considered a place that is 4 feet above sea level. Yeah. So basically they were these little above ground terraces where people could start a community and keep from the floods, because, you know, every hurricane that comes through and every hurricane since has just completely wiped out that land.
Right. I am a big fan of Cow Island, and you're probably going to say, Matt, you're full of it. Well, as some of you guys know, the audience, I used to be a youth minister, and I'm still Catholic. And one of my dear friends who's a priest, Father Ted Broussard, got transferred out to Cow Island. And I'll never forget that. He goes, "You got to come see me." I was like, "All right." And I got in my little Toyota Corolla back then as a youth, and drive. And I used to break bread with him and his parishioners.
Well, how big is Cow Island?
I mean, you're talking a community of maybe 300 people.
Yeah, small.
It's not really even a place. It's just distinguished on a map. Like it's a highway that just so happens to have houses built on each side of it.
So in between where and where would I find this Cow Island?
The cities closest
Texas
to us
and Mississippi, Alabama.
Yes.
So somewhere.
It's Abbeville is the closest city.
Okay.
Where I'm at, I'm about 45 miles south of Lafayette, straight line, straight south.
And so they're on the coast, so they get when it comes in.
They get the weather.
Yeah, we get it all. It's like, you know, the hurricanes that happened even last year, it was, you know, knee deep water everywhere you went. So the bad ones are pretty bad, and it's a struggle for a lot of people, but it's home. Like generations have lived there and grew up there, and they are refusing to ever leave. And
now, are you one of those people that the hurricane's coming and you don't evacuate?
Correct.
You're like, hey, we're going down with the ship.
Yeah, my aunt and uncle, they they have a big farm too. So they live in another community a little further south called Mouton Cove, which is closer to Intercoastal City, which takes the big blunt of every hurricane. And they have a nice house. It's not above ground. It's not lifted or anything like that. A lot of the houses down there now have to get lifted, and they stay there every hurricane. Like the most detrimental ones, they were there, and they didn't leave until they saw waves coming through. And like, oh, I guess I get in the truck now, you know, and you know, haul ass. So
I gotta ask, just out of curiosity, this is me just going off on a really fucking weird tangent, but there's a lot of songs out there about hurricanes.
Yeah.
Do you have any songs about hurricanes?
I don't.
Do you know how many songs exist about hurricanes?
Oh man, there's at least 20 good ones.
Yeah, there's a lot of songs about hurricanes out there.
No, yeah, it's a poetic metaphor, you know. Yeah. You know, some women are hurricanes, some relationships are hurricanes. Let me just say it like that, man or woman, you know. So that's immediately thinking I can probably name a few like that. Some people's lives can be related to a hurricane and the whirlwind that it brings. But honestly, they're not that. I hate to say it like this. Like we're probably going to get one that destroys everything now, but it's
a bunch of rain.
It's a bunch of rain.
Yeah,
and
I'll be honest
have to worry
with
about
you,
flooding.
I've survived multiple nature relationships as well, hurricanic relationships, natural disasters. I was in a 7.4 earthquake in Southern California when I was a kid. I was in Hurricane Iniki in Hawaii when I was a kid. I was in the Big Joplin, Missouri tornado in 2011.
That sounds horrifying.
Seeing a common denominator here.
Yeah, everywhere I go, shit gets fucked, man.
Pretty much.
And the tornado is the scariest thing I've seen.
Yeah. That's
Like, because that comes out of nowhere. You don't know it's coming. You don't really have time to prepare. The alarms go off, and within 8 minutes, 12 minutes, it's hitting, and you don't know where it's going to hit exactly. And then the next thing, and so you,
and they're so fast too.
and they're fast. I mean, that was the scariest thing. And that was like, anyways, I just noticed there's a lot of good songs about hurricanes. And you're right, it's very poetic. It's a very metaphorical situation, I'm sure.
Storm of weather.
Yeah.
Is
Well,
always-
I would like to challenge you to write a good hurricane song.
Wow.
I'll give it a good go. I wrote a song called "With the Tide" a while back.
Okay.
And that was just about a flood that had taken place. And the metaphor was, rise with the tide. You got to overcome as many things as possible. Life is going to come at you fast.
Well, your eyes got big when I said Father Ted Broussard.
All right. So the reason why is because he lives there now, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's my next door neighbor.
Yes and no.
He
Yes,
lives
he
right
does, but he also works at,
He
also does Cursillo.
He lives right across the street from me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Small world.
Yeah. He has a beautiful new house. That he built
So
too.
growing up there and like you said, in the community, did you come from a family that sang and did that, or was this something where you kind of?
Not really. No, not at all.
All right.
My family and what is the talent that is bestowed to me is storytelling. My grandfather's grandfather grew up in a place called Pecan Island.
I love Pecan Island.
And Pecan Island is like much further south. It's like you open up your door and you're in marsh immediately.
And the only
It's
thing
the
there
Gulf-
now,
it's
the only
Gulf
thing
of
in
Mexico.
Pecan Island now is a refinery. And what I mean refinery, it got wiped out a couple of times.
Yeah. Pecan Island, when Hurricane Rita hit, everything completely went under. But my grandfather's grandfather, his name was Ulysses. And Papa Ulysses was known to, there was no TVs and such back then, of course. So he would get on the porch and everybody would gather around and he'd tell stories and people were just fascinated with that. And from that, my grandfather they lived in the middle of nowhere, disconnected from the world, off the land, no electricity. And so storytelling was how they kept their time up, fooling around with each other, playing jokes on each other. Right. All those created that was their creative outlet, was to share stories. So songwriting is what I got through on my family. It was not singing. Everybody kind of dabbled a little. My grandfather fancied himself to be a singer sometimes. He had a big booming voice like this, and he'd go off on tangents. And it sounded like this. They talked real Cajun. But my grandfather was a storyteller, and that's what I got from them. And I'm so grateful for it because that's what I wanted to carry to music.
So what? So when does it hit you that, hey, I want to pick up a guitar? Are you 7th, 8th grader hearing this? Stories about stories?
Much older.
Okay.
I think I was 17 when I was in high school. I was like class clown, nice guy running around acting crazy. Same guy that you meet when I, drink a little and
was your shirt on back then? Or
no, always.
Just curious.
I was a bit pudgier then.
I mean, if you got it, show it off is what I'm saying.
But I started singing because one of my best friends and his brother, they had a rock band.
Yeah.
Like heavy metal-esque, contemporary metal stuff. And they said, I would joke around and kind of sing diddles and, hey, everybody, let's go to school. And again, whatever. And they said, hey, you're joking around, but that actually sounds kind of good. Why don't you come sing for this band that me and my brother are in? And I was like, well, fuck it, I ain't got nothing to do. Right. And so that kind of sparked my my creativity to kind of write stuff down and try to listen more.
Well, listen, I didn't even know that genre of metal ass contemporary. I just learned something. So that must have been a Louisiana thing.
Maybe. I don't
just
know.
kidding.
But the same thing was youth group too.
Yeah.
We all played in youth group together.
Yeah.
And music has done so many things. It's moved so much in me. My grandparents it was never silent in the house. There was always a record spinning.
Yeah.
And my grandfather loved awesome old soul music, swamp pop music, which is kind of specific to Louisiana in the South down
Yes,
here.
it is.
And then like Cajun folk music, of course. So all of that was me thinking, like being connected to it and then realizing, man, if I could do this, how crazy would that be? And so when I was 17, I just picked up a guitar and kind of started figuring it out.
Yeah. So when you start figuring it out, you didn't stay in Cow Island. Did you go to Lafayette? Did you go somewhere Lake Charles? Where did you go?
I stayed. The closest town to us is a small town called Kaplan. It's about 10 minutes north.
Yeah.
That's where I went to high school because there's no schools around Cow Island and such. And that's where I met my friends. We hung out, yada yada.
So kids in Louisiana do go to school.
Kinda.
Now.
I mean, technically.
I meant.
And my buddy Kyle he was a good bit older than me. He was going to college in Lafayette at UL, and
Raging Cajuns.
Raging Cajuns. And he says, "Hey man, there's this open mic night. I was doing my senior project, my senior year, on music and learning like how vinyl is made, how it's recorded, how live production." And Kyle was a radio DJ, and so he kind of folded in that. He said, "Well, what if we kind of went to venues and experienced it firsthand?" And that started bringing me to Lafayette, the big city. You know, Lafayette was like New York to me. It was just incredible. And we went to this place called Atmosphere, and there was a singer-songwriter playing. And he sang like 30 seconds into this song. I was mesmerized and captivated. I was out of my body and just thought, this is exactly what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Wow.
How this man is making me feel. He's delivering something. He's tapping into something that is like live beauty. So how can I do that? How can I give back what he's given to me right now? And that's where it all started.
Wow. So from that moment and like where it just boom, this thing goes off, you just go back to your apartment, your place, and just start writing.
Yeah, it was. I didn't know how to play guitar at all. My buddy Jono in the rock band, I'd had this vintage guitar that was in my dad's closet. It was given to him. He was like, "Oh, don't throw that away." And so I said, "Dad, if you're not using that, I'd love to try to give it a shot." It had 3 strings on it. The action was 3 inches high, and you couldn't play a single note on it. But I would just start like bung, 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 trying to hold it down as hard as I can, playing on 1 string. And then hearing it, I was like, yeah, dude, I don't know what it's supposed to sound like, but it was just kind of your eyes rolling in the back of your head and tapping into the greater mystery of whatever it is, you know? And that's when I started writing songs. That summer I spent actually fixing a guitar, learning a couple chords, and going back to that open mic night like 3-4 months later.
Wow.
And competing in an open mic night competition.
No way.
Yeah.
What year was that again?
That would have been 2010, the summer of 2010.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you get the bug, you kind of piece this thing together. How'd you do in the open mic?
I got 2nd place.
Hey.
I was at 3rd place. I was really drunk. 'Cause I was,
Shocker. I've seen a theme here.
I was 18 and they were serving double whales. And the way that it went was there was a panel of judges who were like kind of well-known other artists in the area. Maybe they ran sound at a venue. Maybe they played instrument themselves. And they were 4 people sitting out in front of me, and everybody would come up and sing a song. And
one of them go, "Yo, dog, you're all." I'm sorry. That's
No,
so,
it was-
that's
it
so
was-
bad. That's,
way more embarrassing. It went through
that's
the
American
line.
Idol. I apologize. Sorry.
Brandon Jackson. That's enough for me.
No for me, dog.
Well, I got a lot of no for me's. That's what happened. And it went through the line, And people were just like, I'm not gonna lie, that was the worst thing I've ever seen. How about you don't do that again? And
you got
and
third
I'm
place
just
out of
up
3
there.
competitors.
So you had a lot of Simons. Is what you're saying.
Yeah, a lot of Simons. I'm up there with a smile, just
Yeah.
like I hear what these people are saying,
Right.
and maybe I'm just like drunk on whatever, like the music,
The
you know,
whales.
on,
the
on
drink.
yeah, on the whale.
Yeah.
I was just in the moment. It didn't matter what they said.
I love that.
Got all the way to the end, and the last judge, his name was Jacob, and he looks at me, and he looks at the rest of the panel. He says, "Guys, I don't know what y'all just saw, but this guy loves what he's doing."
Nice.
And then it went back around, and everybody's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that good, but yeah, obviously, it's like keep working on it, you know. And then
Thank you. Come
they
again.
announced at the end, they were like, "Hey, you got third place, second place. You get a gig here now on a Monday night."
Cool.
And
so that's how it.
and I remember crying to my buddy Kyle, who had brought me there. We were like drinking double wells, like, "Oh man, we did it! We did it! I'm a musician now," you know. And
That's true. Because
Yeah.
now you would get paid. You could call yourself a
get
musician.
paid, yes, right, get paid. That's what happens in the music industry.
Well, you know what I mean. Well, our good friend Mark Broussard says the very first paying gig you ever get, now you're a musician.
yeah. And
So
that's
that didn't
pretty much
happen for you
until a week later.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
a
what I'm
week
saying.
later. It was the
But
following
that's
week.
what I'm saying. So you were a paid. So
Mhm.
you know that had to be like just.
Yep.
When did you know that you're pretty good?
Oof, I don't even think that's still happened yet.
I'm going to prove that wrong pretty soon when you played with us. But when did you feel confident that you were better than average?
Well, for me, that confident is.
I mean, I've been around you and seen you on stage. You unless that's your stage persona.
It is. It's like it's not really a tangible thing, and that it's that perspective. It's all what's the word? It's up for your interpretation. For me,
Okay.
it's always been and always has been just really tapping into. It's like getting high, man.
Right.
It's really like you're in a different zone altogether. A flip of a switch. It's praying. It's meditation. It's all those things put into one. And I kind of like black out in a way when I really tap into something else. I explain this a lot as it being my vocation. I'm sure you're
Yep.
familiar with that.
Yep.
I feel like I really found my vocation, and I can just go straight into the zone, whatever that is. And for me, it's music.
Well,
and singing songs.
Well, let's do this. I'm tired of talking about it. I definitely want you to perform. If you want to perform any song you can, obviously I want you to play a couple, but kind of walk us through that. And you choose the song. I would love for you to play for us. If that's okay.
For sure,
All
please.
right. You got it. Dan, you want to do the single? Or you do
I don't know what song we're doing.
Let's do
Yeah.
do some exclusive sleeping around songs.
Oh yeah.
Do I know these songs?
I mean, you don't need to know them. That's how good you are.
You do now.
That's not a joke. He does that live.
This is a song I wrote last summer. I consider myself a folk musician. A lot of the music that I'm inspired by is folk music, and this song is called "Rice in July." In July, back home, it's tons of rice fields everywhere. It's gorgeous, actually, miles and miles of rice fields. And one day it's there, and the next day the crop just is cut. You know, and the farmers get out there really early so they don't have to beat the heat. And a buddy of mine who lived in Cow Island for a while, he lives here now. His name is Dustin Gaspard. He says he told me, all right. One day he says, I'm out of here like rice in July. I was like, well, what does that mean? He says, well, because, you know, farmers, you'll see the field one day and the next day it's gone. So you're just getting out of there, you know? And I said, damn, I'm really going to use that. And last summer, I kind of went through a breakup of sorts with a girl, and it felt like she was just out of there like rice in July. So this song was about that. And whirlpools of jade and blue carrying me down to the depths with you. the longest twilight that I've been through. Just sugar cane and gravel road tunes. A waning crescent gone too soon. Was it smiling or frowning when I last saw you? I hoped you'd turn around if you only knew. That day in the cane I was telling the truth. And now you're out like rice in July, over in the nick of time. I hoped you fed your soul for a little while, out like rice in July. And now a little hope will go a long way. They insist I can't resist and crave naivety, but you spread that seed with me, so I kept on watering. Is it growing? Is it growing? Is it going out like rice in July, over in the nick of time? Hoped you fed your soul for a little while, how like rice, how like rice, how like rice in July.
Oh my God.
Man, you forgot your parts, huh?
Well, I didn't want to sing over you on those parts. Don't say that. On the mic.
I got a feeling you're really comfortable holding a guitar.
Oh man, I get everything to hide behind.
Yeah. Tell us, so that's a new guitar you got there.
Yeah, well, it's a vintage guitar. This is from the 50s.
Yep.
It was that first guitar that I was telling you about. It's the same brand.
Mhm.
These are old. It's a 50s K, 56. This is a replaced neck. I just changed these tuners and this thing, kind of made it my own. But it's all woody, real woody sound. And I just love vintage instruments. They have so much history. And I was talking to Sarah about this is, you know, when you shake so much sound through something, that's where you get the tone of it all. And I feel that way about a lot of things, guitars and your voice mainly too. Finding your voice is kind of like that. But I love this. I feel like it really matches my personality, and I think it's just gorgeous too.
So you had mentioned the journey, right? And I'm so proud of you, by the way. I think any time that you could launch an album release and have the turnout and the fanfare, and like we had talked about a little bit, what a labor of love. Like you're putting everything into this, your feelings and what we do when we talk to musicians. And I always like to ask some of them this. So I'm going to ask you this. Was there a part of you when you were laying this down and the music was going to go out that you're like, I'm not ready yet? Like
Absolutely,
a kid, like I didn't.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
I'm having like withdrawals from it because my journey, I've never really accomplished. I don't think you ever will. If you really want to do something, it's always on to the next thing. Always
Absolutely.
on to the next thing.
Yeah. I'm in sales, of course.
I just never thought that I was possible. I thought I'd just write songs for the rest of my life, and that's what I am gonna do.
Right.
That is my plan. That's who I am. But I looked so forward to releasing my first record for 10 years. I've had so many setbacks. I lost my voice, completely injured it. I had to go through vocal rehab. I've been arrested. I've battled with drugs, and all of those things were just major setbacks, and it just always made the goal seem out of reach.
Mhm.
And something happened in the past couple years that just strapped me up for the real deal. And so now, this day that I'd been waiting for a decade
Mhm.
is every day that I live and wake up, it's behind me now.
Right.
So I'm like, man, please come back. Feel this
Yeah.
this part of me that I'm missing. You know.
Well, one of the things that I tapped into, because I do know you a little and I follow you on social media, is kind of that journey. And we don't have to go in depth, from someone who's been there, done that, whether it be personal tragedy, loss, making wrong choices. But whenever you come out of that, it's interesting to see that that's easy to put behind us, right?
Mhm.
Like all that bad stuff. But when something really good happens,
You don't want to.
when something really good happens, right? You're like, oh, I don't want to let it go. But it's almost like, I have friends of mine who are comedians, right?
Mhm.
And they work on their stuff. And then once it's out, now they have to birth something new.
That's
So
the
is there
scary
also
thing.
some fear there that you're
Absolutely.
like, I spent 10 years, Hootie and the Blowfish are a perfect example of this. They spent 15 years touring their very first album that was huge, and they were huge in college, and MTV hit it, and they signed this great deal, and now you have 6 months to come out with the sequel.
Yeah.
And I know that it's a little different with you guys, but man, 10 years putting it in, the ups and downs, rock bottoms. Now it's on to now you are touring this,
Yeah. A little. Yeah.
right? And that way we can promote it. But you answered the question, but I was curious, as a musician that says, hey, you can have this kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if it's going to get any better. I don't know. I don't know if I was prepared to do anything else, you know?
Sure.
And it's what am I capable of? Or how did I write all those songs for the record?
Right.
Where did they come from? Now I have to actually think about that. I wasn't ever thinking about that before.
Well, it sounds like you write a lot.
I do.
You got a lot of stories, and they're all coming out in these songs.
Yeah.
How many songs, like for every one that you love that's record worthy,
Oh, good question.
how many other songs are out there that are just waiting to be
Tons.
Found.
10 to 1.
10 to 1?
10 to 1.
Yeah.
tweet. Oh, sorry. That's my horrible Cajun. I'm sorry.
Bruh, you gotta say it like this.
Like,
All your T's are D's.
But
You know,
no, on
it's 10 to
on a
1,
serious note, like, so your new album, right? You talked about drugs, right? And the rock bottoms that you had there in relationships. Play us a song that that you think, I love how you're in the moment too. You don't have anything pre-planned. What would be a song that would kind of describe your lows during that 10-year period that you have out right now? And do we need Miss Sarah to come up here?
Yeah, let's do Further I Walk.
Come on, Sarah. Anytime I can get Sarah to sing, it's a good day.
Yeah, same. Yeah, Sarah has sung on the entire record. All the vocal arrangements that you hear as far as harmonies and background singers go, that was all Sarah's doing. She is totally, you use the word blessing. And that's
Blessing and a curse.
yeah, right. Can't get rid of her now because she just makes everything better.
That's sweet. Like, I cried when I heard this record and I sang on it.
yeah.
So the entire record is called Hope in Heaven Got a Kitchen. All the songs are dedicated to my grandparents. They were either written for them or we did 2 cover songs that were songs that they were madly in love with. This song is the only song that is a little different. It's called The Further I Walk, and they loved classic country music, like good classic country music. And I wanted to try to do a song that was the narrator was just a traveling guy that might have went to the porch of my grandparents and told them stories and asked for a shelter for the night just to hear his story. And a lot of the things in the song that I'm saying are just experiences that I've had coming out in like a storyteller form. It's called The Further I Walk. I wasn't known for seeking attention, when my hidden weakness was doing no harm. It was a good time, distant in pictures and old love letters that I once wrote. So grant me some shelter, and I'll give you my name. I swear I'm not lost, it's just the further I walk, the longer I live. I wasn't born to be buried, but no regrets come at a cost. To do right and serve my memories, to do wrong I cut my losses. Am I self-righteous and imposter? A catalog of all my wrongs. The audience inside me says I'll be heard by no one. But if you grant me some shelter, I'll give you my name. I swear I'm not lost, it's just the further I walk, the longer
Beautiful.
Thanks.
Man. Oh, Dustin, have a seat, brother.
Thank you. Further I walk.
I'm gonna tell you. By the way, thank you for sharing. Not only the personal stories, your amazing voice and talent. You know, we do transition. You've been part of the show to sleep, right, and to health. I have noticed, in a healthy way, you're in shape, man. There's not a lot of musicians that are in shape. Do you have some kind of routine you do? Because
Push-ups.
Yeah, a lot of push-ups. I'm
hold on a second.
Push-ups. You can tell. It's push-ups. I do the same thing. That's my point. I'm like, that's where I'm headed.
But
He's where I'm headed.
He must do a lot more push-ups
Stop,
than
stop.
you.
He definitely does.
All right.
On the road. Got more time.
Dan, do you mind if I just interview the guest for a second? Man, we can spend time talking. No, I'm messing with you. So
Well,
yeah,
Well, this all kind of really started. I've always wanted to really be in good shape.
Okay.
When I moved to Lafayette, I didn't have a vehicle. I didn't own a vehicle until I was 28.
Mm-hmm.
So that was 8 years I just biked around. So being in shape was critical.
Right.
I biked 30,000 miles when I lived in Lafayette. You know, that's 20 miles a day back and forth to work. If I had to go get groceries, yada, yada. So these days I do have a vehicle and I don't live in Lafayette anymore. So staying in shape was something that caught my attention for quarantine. It became like a big, we couldn't go to the gyms,
Right.
but I just so happened to I was with a roommate who had a weight bench and stuff he wasn't using. And I prided myself on staying physically, like I don't have anything else to do. I'm going to work and coming home. I needed to like buckle down. And I packed on like 20 pounds, like real pounds. And I felt real good. Now I'm kind of losing it because Sarah and I are just so busy recently.
Blames you.
No, no. I'm not blaming you. We're just so busy recently. I can't even eat as well as, because that's what it is. It's eating, hydrating, and getting all that sleep.
Yep.
So the routine is critical to tapping into that. And those are some things that I'm realizing my touring schedule, if this really continues, I'm going to have to get extremely meticulous with how I plan my day.
Yeah, so I can help you with that. I'm a traveler, right? I stay in hotels frequently, and I think you do. And that's funny. A lot of people,
ACs,
AC hotels, yes. That's all bon voyage. But no, I have to be regimented with my diet. And that's the big difference. I will tell you, yes, I exercise. Yes, I do things, but it was the diet. Once I changed that, because it was so easy. I love Whataburger. I love pizza.
What's Whataburger?
I love, what's Whataburger?
I know what you mean.
Taco Bell. Anyways, fast food. I know I'm messing with it. But I had to make these choices. And for me and for where my journey is and where I'm at right now, it's the carnivore diet, right? There was a time I did keto, and there's these little challenges. I talked about Handsome Dan introducing an exercise regimen where I felt like I could do it anywhere. I could literally just go outside for 45 minutes and choose to be active. I will tell you, the majority of musicians that we talk to, they just don't do that, and they let that schedule take over, number one. Number two, hopefully you said hydration, because we gave Sarah a hard time. But hydration is the key. Drink a lot of water. And through this program, I learned that I wasn't even drinking enough. They say, take your weight, okay, half your weight. I know there wasn't going to be math, and that's how many ounces of water you need to be drinking every day. So whatever your weight is, I apparently weighed 222 last time. Cut that in half.
Oh, you did weigh
111.
222.
I know. And I'm supposed to be drinking 111 ounces of water. So
how
that's
many
easy.
ounces are in a gallon?
120.
Yeah.
126
Okay.
maybe.
Yeah. I overhydrate. I drink a gallon of water.
And
a
you
day.
could, and that's okay to do.
That's the main thing I do.
So that's number two. And then you said sleep. So I know your life's been crazy since the launch of the album. How do you sleep?
I make sure sleep is the biggest priority for me, because if I don't, well, the thing is, I talked about my vocal troubles. If I don't get adequate rest, legitimate rest, it doesn't matter if that's like solid 5 hours or a lousy 10 hours. I need at minimum like 5 hours of real sleep, me dreaming and drooling sleep. And if I don't have that, my voice is not there at all.
Really?
At all. It's just something about my body relaxing, maybe inflammation, maybe the fluids finally working their way all the way through my body. But I am extremely conscious of that.
Well, you said you had an injury before.
Yeah, vocal injury.
Yeah, how'd you do that?
Doing everything completely opposite.
Okay.
Instead of being a musician, being a rock star. It's late nights, drinking, partying, talking until 6 o'clock in the morning, not sleeping, drugs and all the other uses. And then performing.
Yeah.
I thought that was a part of the deal. I thought, man, do you want, and some of my friends who are pretty successful at this music thing
Are also successful at the acting.
yeah.
I
They
think I
can,
know
they can
some
do
of
the
those.
other thing.
Yes.
But for me, it's not.
Yeah.
And also it doesn't really play into who I want to be as a person.
Right.
And I didn't think that. But growing up in Lafayette and keeping up with the party of Louisiana, it was about the networking and the staying up late and the making the relationships to where you can book the gig. And so I invested a lot of things. And one of those things at a sacrifice was my voice for a little while. I was singing incorrectly. I was doing all the things I just named. And I burnt out my vocal lining.
Wow.
So now I don't have like a falsetto. I remember going to my ear, nose, and throat doctor. She tries to jam the little microscope up my nose. And I know what I was doing the night before. And she's like, why are you here? She's like, you know what you did. You can't do that. She's like, just don't do that and you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
And I never learned the lesson until I had to go to a specialist in Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
And what he told me was, look, you see this? Gave me the video. He's like, this is gone.
Right.
Where my vocal cords meet up, they never meet up all the way anymore. So when I go to sing certain notes, the air just passes through. On top of that, one of my vocal cord arms is actually overcompensating for the other.
Okay.
It's kind of stuck in one spot. So there's certain things that I'm incapable of, and all that came through years and years of just abuse.
Wow.
So I know an injury, if I twist my knee working out or tweak my back, or like I might be out, not able to really function at full capacity for a month, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. What How long were you laid up for in terms of this
8
vocal injury?
weeks.
Okay.
I couldn't sing, talk, anything. I had to write everything down.
Wow.
And then I wasn't, and I still, he told me, you'll never be able to do whatever you were doing before. It's gone. You know, it's like you're riding with 4 tires, you broke a wheel completely, you know.
Got it.
The only way to fix it would be replacing it. And given the area where it is, it's so delicate and so like exact that it's actually a bigger risk for them to try to work on it than anything.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he told me, you know, lay up for 8 weeks. I was at work, like writing stuff down, trying to talk to people, writing on a pad. And then probably a year and a half after that was when I felt capable enough to start singing again. But it's changed everything. It changed my lifestyle. It changed who I was. It changed my songwriting, because now these athletic vocal capabilities that I'm dancing around with and whistling and doing all kind of crazy stuff vocally, I'm incapable of. And that's when I was thinking I need to focus on songwriting, my storytelling, because it is who I am. And I can't deny that ever, you know.
Yeah.
I messed it up. So what are you going to do about it? And I just went
So you
forward
think
and changed
but that
genre.
was a big influence for you in terms of, hey, I got to get right with my regimen.
Man, it was the
my
most depressing.
fitness,
Yeah.
my diet, my sleep, all the things.
Yeah. It was just so depressing to the only thing that I do, I can't do it.
Wow.
The only person that I've ever known myself to be, I'm not that person anymore.
Well, we've had a few guests that have talked about that. I think
Absolutely.
Bree was one of them that talked about, like, if I don't sleep well, my voice is shit
Yeah.
the
And
next
this
day.
And this is how I get paid.
You know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
so
yeah.
understanding this is where it comes from me, and making that a priority obviously is has helped out.
Yeah. And all the bottom line too is that, but the benefits of what you get from it else, you know, I don't feel like shit trying to go to a gig and half-ass my way through it. You know, I feel connected to what I'm doing and who I am and the audience. And there are things that I'm paying attention to that are just making me better each day because I'm coherent instead of being hungover.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Hey, you mentioned that I love this feeling of the zone. You mentioned, like, when I'm in the zone, I'm in the zone. Like, I'm feeling it. I'm out of body. It's like just this natural thing, and I'm connected to myself and other people. Are you able to be in the zone but still recognize and feel the audience and where they're at?
It depends.
Or are
It
you
really
just
depends. I'm kind of,
like, it couldn't matter if there was one person in the audience that's paying attention. You're still in the zone.
Yeah. You're just Inception. You're in the dream of the dream.
So,
you know?
there's so many
freaking
people that
amazing.
say
Yeah.
Inception. That's great.
Yeah. I wanted to talk to you about something specific too. This vocal trouble that I went through. The doctor, what he was telling me was there's no cure. You can't fix it, you know, unless we go in there and do surgery, yada, yada. So what I did was alternative means of figuring that out. And one of the biggest thing was lucid dreaming. And through lucid dreaming and like focusing and meditating on your injury and trying to heal it within yourself. It sounds super woo-woo.
Yeah.
And it is. A lot of it kind of is. But if you can really tap into that.
I'm a believer. So I hate to cut you off.
No.
There's a doctor here in town, and I'm getting ready to go see her. Her name is, I listened to a podcast with her. Her name's Marcella Mariella. No. I've got to get her name. She's Austin Integrative Spine, and we just shout that out to people. I have some degenerative problems in my back. So I've got some degenerative vertebra, and I don't want a fusion. And I've had to completely change my workout routine, heavy weights, running, all this kind of stuff. And it's been a hard thing for me to personally deal with. And, but I was listening to this podcast with her, and she has this treatment regimen where they go in and they do some certain injections along with manipulation, along with mobility, along with laser therapy. And the one thing she kept coming back to was we also dig into your mindset. And there's a mindset component of this, which is, how are you going to heal? What do you look like when you heal? Meditation along with that. And it's like, if people aren't willing to do the mind work, like it's it's not going to help the other stuff.
Exactly.
But so the mindset is, and even, Tony Robbins was talking about that when he went and did his stem cell therapy down in Panama. It was all about mindset of imagining and visualizing the body healing
Yes.
as you're getting the IV
Yes.
fluids and the
Yes.
IV stuff or the stem cell therapy or whatever it is. So I'm with you on that. I think the mind is powerful, man. I think the mind will make you sick. The mind will make you well. And it can do so much depending on where you're at with it.
Yeah,
So-
and Dustin, I'm a big believer and an advocate. I am fully fused, and I can remember when I got the surgery, they were like, "Oh, your life will change. You can't do this, you can't do that." And then I met an amazing person in Houston, Texas, that was like, "Nah, there's other avenues." So for me, it became I had to research on my own.
Mhm.
That's when I changed how I ate. That's why I know about heat shock proteins and saunas and yoga and stretching and functional movement versus just in the old days, I just lift weights.
Yeah, right.
Mind over matter is something in Louisiana that was real big. I know the Judy's family, God rest her soul, Miss Ruth would always tell everybody, mind over matter, with a cigarette and a beer and some kind of meat in her hand. But it's always mind over matter. When her daughters had a period or when they had issues, but they had serious issues. But that old school mentality of cages never went to the doctor, right? Yeah. And no dogs ever went to vets, but they all lived forever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because there was this mentality.
Yeah.
So I kind of tapped into that saying, well, listen, there is something to that. We all know that there's such thing as somatic pain. Somatic pain is simply this: people with depression, anxiety, you get stressed, then you have this somatic pain. You don't necessarily have to be melodramatic. You don't have to be one of these people that, claims that the sky's falling every time. And you don't even necessarily have to be an optimistic person. Brandon's right. It's just visualizing that lucid part going, I'm feeling better. Now, for me, it happens every morning through meditation,
Mhm.
right? Because I know what my path is. My next path is my neck is next. So all my C's are going to have to get done. I'm doing everything possible I can do because I can't rejuvenate if it's not there. So there's no disc to rejuvenate. So I can't even go to Panama and enjoy the benefits of that. So I have to do certain things. As a voice, and I talked to Sarah about this, and your voice is your gift,
Mhm.
and yours has been wounded. And so now you're going into this so excited everything with something that's been wounded. Will it ever be 100%? No, but what are you doing with that 80%? That's kind of what they said about my spine.
Yeah.
It'll never be what it was, but what are you doing? And so both Brandon and I are big into biohacking and finding different means, cold plunges. I love Reds. I always wear Reds gear. Red Laurel's is a gym in Lafayette. I will always have a membership there because every time I'm in Lafayette, that's where I go, right?
Yeah.
So staying up on your health is huge. Here's the 411 for you, brother. Out of all the musicians I know, there's a tiny percent that even care about what we're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not a knock on them. It's just, let's talk about Mark. I've known Mark forever. He has the most God-given, beautiful voice that has ever been gifted from the gods. Does he always treat his voice the best?
No.
Hell no. But he's also like Sammy Hagar. He has a gift from God. He'll always have that gift no matter what he does to his body, no matter what he adjusts.
Yeah, some people are just like that, and it's they just have the talent and they can do whatever. But you also
Sarah
question,
Russo may be one of those people.
she's one of these people.
you also question, because Kobe Bryant was that person.
Mhm.
But
Ooh,
he had a
Achilles.
work ethic like nobody else. And so he was somebody that had the natural talent, could have done without it, but he put in the work, he put in the time, and he did what was right. And because of that, he became one of the best ever.
Yeah.
Well, and even his Achilles rupture, you shouldn't have come back that fast.
Right.
Or shot free throws fresh on
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
Or
the same
Adrian
thing.
Peterson breaking rules on when to come back from an ACL.
Yeah.
So there
Well, you
is.
expect that from a Sooner, breaking rules.
That's
I
pretty good line.
hate to do this to you guys. We're coming up on a stop here because I know we
Okay.
got another episode.
Yep.
But what I do want to say is I love your passion, and I just like it bleeds through. And I appreciate you being here today.
So glad.
I'm looking forward to seeing more of you.
Yeah. Same.
Now that I've been exposed, I'd like to come see you tonight if I can. I'm going to try and make that work.
Nice.
Otherwise, some other time I'll come find you guys.
Certainly.
But thanks for being here, and thanks for sharing your story.
Man, and
Thank you for
Dustin,
listening.
Some of your music.
seriously, man, you and Sarah both are just, y'all are tearing it up. Keep doing what you're doing, man. And
Thanks.
we'll promote anyway. Is there something specific you want to put out? How they can find you?
The same thing. My website is dustingaspardmusic.com. You can
So
see
for those of
everything.
us that can't even pronounce Gaspard,
Oh, yeah.
Gaspard.
Dustin Gaspard.
And
Yes.
we will also have it on our.
That'll be in the
you
show notes.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
definitely have it on
Okay.
show notes.
Yeah.
And brother, grab that whiskey
Oh,
that
yeah.
you brought. Thank you so much for the Dustin Poirier
Absolutely.
whiskey.
Yeah,
that
shout
is
out Dustin
called
Poirier.
Rare Stash,
Stash.
or as
secret
Brandon's
stash.
nickname
I call it the secret
calls-
stash.
All right, thank you for sleeping around,
Cheers.
Dr. Brandon Matthews.
Cheers.
Absolutely,
Thank
guys. Bye-bye.
When the sun goes down and the moon is